formation, and objects are coming from behind the space shuttle or behind the satellite, and then as they reach the upper atmosphere they light up. And this is very similar to what Valery Vinogradov filmed in Germany. And then we have amateur astronomers posting various clips of UFOs on the lunar surface, and this has come from an amateur astronomer who lives on the Franco-Italian border. And this is a mosaic of small QuickTime movies which have been filmed in black and white from the lunar surface. And in the bottom left-hand corner you see this dark object. It's passing the Eudoxus crater. These craters are very, very large. Most craters on the moon are between 10, 20, 30 kilometers across. I estimate this object to be around 25 kilometers in diameter. Now it's either an actual object or it's a shadow of an object which is passing over the lunar surface. The distortion that you see is due to atmospheric aberrations. And here we see the object, it stops, it's pausing, and where it was going from left to right, we now see the object pause. These jumps are not being made by the object itself, they're gaps in the actual QuickTime video recording facility of the telescope. And now you can see that the object is heading in a completely different direction. Now if this was a natural object, say for example an asteroid, which had been caught in the gravitational pull of the moon, then it wouldn't change direction. And now we see it traversing a crater. There's some craters are so large on the moon they have craters inside them. Those Bailey craters are about 30 kilometers across, so we can see that this is a very, very large object. And you can see that it's going now off the northern quadrant of the moon, and there it leaves, or it goes round the horizon, and there is a track of this object's movements. Its trajectory is totally unlike any natural phenomenon. And one has to wonder if in 1991, during the space shuttle flight STS-48, that these objects filmed by NASA astronauts in the upper atmosphere and just outside the atmosphere are also coming from the moon. And 6 years later, during mission STS-80, which had filmed the circular formation of UFOs, there is also ultraviolet footage showing a very large object emerging, coming out of the Earth's atmosphere. And there are also many other objects as well. On the left of the screen there are 3 stationary objects. There are presumably meteorites streaking past, and there from the Earth's atmosphere you see a very, very large object which is possibly 20 kilometers in diameter. And I suspect that this footage was filmed by the Orpheus Space Dara remote satellite pointing back down onto the Earth's atmosphere. And these objects which you see coming away from the Earth really shouldn't be there. Every object should be captured by the Earth's gravity, and that large object that emerges from the atmosphere is a complete and utter mystery. Now the moon has been thoroughly mapped, and there's ongoing moon mapping missions with satellites going around the lunar surface taking high definition photographs. Nearly every couple of years there's a mission like that. And what I've done here is I've got a moon atlas which has been stitched. All these individual JPEG images from various lunar surveying missions have been stitched together. And the near face of the moon never changes as far as our point of view is on planet Earth. The moon does not rotate, and so there's always this hidden dark side of the moon. And in this animation we can go from pole to pole. And as each year goes by, the quality of the images which we get from the lunar surface are increasing and increasing and increasing. It's interesting that I've never seen any lunar survey images which have been sharp enough detail to show any of the landing sites of the Apollo missions. What French astronomers have done is they've mapped these high-res images from the NASA archive onto a three-dimensional spherical model of the moon. This is the near side of the moon with all of its so-called seas. These are where liquid lava 100 million years ago leaked into large crater areas or depressed areas, and many of these seas are fairly level and featureless. But as we go onto the dark side of the moon, this is the coming around now, this is the side of the moon which we never really see. You can see that there's quite a difference in the topography and the geography of the dark side of the moon. There's not so many of these flat areas which are shown up in this animation as being dark. And let's face it, it's a very large object, and if aliens were to come to Earth, it would be a very, very useful stopping off place, because, as I said earlier, the near side of the moon is always the same side of the moon which we see from Earth. This animation of the moon does not rotate, so we never see the dark side of the moon, and therefore it could potentially be a very useful place for extraterrestrials to have a landing stage and stop off before they enter the Earth's atmosphere. And I believe that the space shuttle and the Dara Orpheus satellites and other equipment are being used to track UFOs which are visiting the atmosphere and planet Earth as they come from the moon.
We have an unidentified flying object.
There we go. Big vertical streaks in the sky.
Come on, we're going to record on this side.
I have no idea what the hell they are.
Santa, unusual encounter, or whatever it is. Unusual sighting.
Is that the main one over there? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can see the guys too.
If I can get this damn thing open. There we go.
See it?
Look at that shit.
Oh, how big is it?
Yeah.
How big can you see it now? It's real bright.
I think, man, that's weird.
Let me see your lighter.
No, I don't have one. As a matter of fact, I need one.
Dude, look at it.
Have you ever seen that?
You seen it through the EVG jet?
Come here and look at it.
That's some weird shit. Look at it. Did you see it, Cheetah?
Yeah, there's multiple.
They're all over the place.
There's 67 of them.
But that's the main one. That's the brightest one. There's some over here. I don't know if it's the way the stars are shining.
No, I don't think so.
You also have a red haze over there, so.
Yeah.
That's weird.
This animation simulates what it would be like to travel through the universe at 100,000 times the speed of light. Our nearest galaxy is the Andromeda Galaxy, which can be seen with the naked eye from planet Earth. Our own Milky Way galaxy is actually on a collision course with the Andromeda Galaxy, and in a few million years from now, we will crash into the Andromeda Galaxy, and the spiral arms of the Milky Way and the giant galactic center of the Andromeda Galaxy will swirl and coalesce into a giant super galaxy. The universe has many super galaxies and even clusters of galaxies. And each galaxy cluster contains billions of stars, exactly the same as our Sun. And each of these suns may be orbited by hundreds of trillions of planets. Edwin Hubble was the first astronomer to detect that the universe is expanding from a central point. 13.7 billion years ago, a gigantic explosion called the Big Bang gave birth to our universe. Since that time, the universe has been expanding and growing, with new stars being formed all the time. In fact, this is what we see in the Orion Nebula. In the belt of Orion, there is a star nursery. Huge columns of gases are coalescing and creating new stars all the time. If just one of the trillions of planets in our universe developed intelligent alien life forms, say 1,000 years before mankind developed spaceflight, then aliens would most probably be exploring the universe by sending probes into the cosmos, just as we are doing today. Stars, such as our Sun, have a lifespan of around 10 billion years. When all the gases have been used up, our Sun will go dark. It will become a black sun and begin to shrink. Only the gravitational force would be left, concentrated into a spherical ball just a few meters in diameter. All the planets in our solar system would be sucked into the center of the dying Sun. The immense gravitational force of the formerly huge Sun would become so condensed that it would begin to suck surrounding stars into itself. Even rays of light, which are made from photons, would be sucked and bent into the center of the dead Sun. And this is what's known